Hi there, it's Lisa Starr at the Medical Wellness Congress in Austria. Now, this is the second year for the Congress, and we've just gathered today lots of great thinkers from across Europe and the US. We're talking about the medical wellness industry. So what is that exactly? And I have a guest who can explain some good insights onto what the challenges are. As we go from wellness into medical, what are the things we are forgetting to do? So I was lucky to grab Laszlo Puszko, who is a consultant that many of us know, and he's been on the podcast before, several times, in fact. Laszlo is an academic, has many acronyms after his name, very smart guy, teaches wellness, and works with governments on how to better implement wellness strategies. So Laszlo, first of all, thank you for joining.
Oh, most welcome. Thank you.
And let's talk about the line between medical and wellness. You know, they're coming closer together. People go to a spa or clinic and they have a wellness treatment, and then they might have a medical treatment too. How are we managing to bring those two things together?
Thank you again for the invite. Nice to have you here. And this part of the globe is always very good. I think we are getting a little bit locked into some terminologies and silos, if you ask me. Yeah, my work is most of the time looking at how to interpret, translate of whatever is being offered to an average Joe, if you wish. Someone who is not healthcare trained, not wellness trained, not even hospitality trained, is just maybe having certain issues, indications, discomfort, whatever. So looking for a solution, looking for ease, looking for something that makes it him or her or them feel any better. And I think there's a massive discrepancy of what operators are trying to sell and what people can understand, because they will give you all the Latin acronyms of indications and illnesses and modalities and whatever, a long list of those. Yes. You can go to websites and think, oh, it's very terrifying to look at the websites because, I don't think I have any of those, but it's what is this? I don't want to go there. Instead of telling, promising and offering the options that, okay, should you have some sort of ache or pain or discomfort here and here and here, we can offer you a solution for that, short-term, mid-term, long-term, even momentarily. But how you do it, it's somehow secondary. So when you're in Medical Wellness Congress, everybody's talking about, this medical and the merge between the two and all that. That's very nice. But an average guest or consumer or patient, again, already the terminologies, how we approach those, you can be lost in the details very, very soon. And people don't have demand for medical wellness. I'm happy to say that. They have demand for solutions. Should that be medical wellness or holistic or so on? It's regardless. Obviously, you need to sell it. But I think all these operators, developers will need to understand that guests, patients, customers, they pay for the services because that's what's on the bill in the end.
Yes.
But they buy the benefit.
Right. That's what they receive.
Yes. And the two things are not the same. And I need to talk to them about the benefits and the impacts of whatever they do, and less so of how it is being administered. Of course, then you have the certifications of it's safe. But in the end, you need to tell them that, look, I'm going to do things to you. And in the end, you can walk better or your skin feels nicer.
What will the result of
this tell me, it's like an idiot proof storytelling. So defining your wellness story as such requires the language that actually has a meaning.
But physicians are never trained in that, right? They're not trained in marketing or the presentation, nor should they be, right? But so how do we sort of bring these two industries together in a way that consumers, patients can understand what they're getting?
I believe that the service providers, therapists, doctors, hospitality leaders, whoever those are, we need to understand how guests think and speak. It's not marketing and communication only, because they might say, we just a bit of tweaking of the words. It's not that. You need to look at what can trigger people for something. So we will be talking in the afternoon, there's, for example, the holistic part, which also healing as such, it's about micro communities, not about anything else. You want to belong, you want to reflect. And yes, you may do it through a yoga session, but it's not what you buy. You're paying for the yoga session, but I'm buying for the micro community. So promise me that I would have a micro community and don't talk about just Dex and whoever that is. So it's introducing properly of what you do and not what it is.
So getting the medical establishment to speak in layman's terms about what they're doing and what the result will be.
And that's point number one. And point number two is that medical treatments are rarely fun. I think we have to be very honest about that, because they're not. And they have some side effects and some other issues. I had a massive argument with a medical doctor, literally about this, because the person was talking about all the processes they do. They use the hot springs, but the hot springs smell. And asking that, what do you do? What do you offer to your guests about kind of eliminating those scents?
So their hair doesn't stink.
And the skin. Oh, we definitely don't do that, because it's part of the treatment that you need to smell like that. I said, that's very nice, but not every guest would appreciate the same smell during dinner.
Right. And is there a benefit to smelling after you've been in the treatment?
Funnily, it doesn't. No. It doesn't have any. But, that really indicates what kind of task we still have ahead to tell medical professionals that you do your job, that's your profession, very nice, but we have the knowledge that it can translate it and can make it a much nicer experience altogether, because the medical intervention, especially non-invasive interventions, may not have a direct result right away. You might have it later, but you do have a direct impact of a scent, which you take home.
Right away.
Yes. And you need to be aware of how these little micro components and micro touch points can be improved. And all in all, in the end, people will say, oh, that's very nice altogether. I feel better, I look better, I'll have less pain. But it's not just the medical intervention. So that's the whole angle to this.
I think that's brilliant, Laszlo, as usual. And that as we continue to combine wellness and spa, hopefully we learn from the medical about what they know about the body that we don't know, but they will learn from us about how to market that to consumers and patients.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you for joining us, Laszlo.
Most welcome. Thank you very much.
Hi there, it's Lisa Starr again here at the Medical Wellness Congress in Frauenkirchen, Austria. And my guest at the moment is the esteemed Andrew Gibson, who is a consultant on all things spa and wellness, after having many positions globally, which I'm sure you all know, and I won't bore you with the details. But right now he's consulting on large-scale real estate, hospitality, spa and wellness developments. And Andrew is hosting a panel here at the Wellness Congress with some really great guests. So he's going to tell us what is in store for us with the panel. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you very much, Lisa. It's really nice to get to see you again, and welcome to Austria. This is the second Congress, as you know. The first one was in the same place last year, and I think we've got about the same number of people this year. This conference is one that I'm particularly interested in because it's the Medical Wellness Congress. And that is an attempt to bring together people involved in both the medical and the wellness industries.
Which we've been talking about for years.
Exactly. It's something that we've all cried out for. I think it's a lot to do with timing. And I think that the medical industry are starting to look a little bit more seriously at the wellness. There's always been leaders out there, but as a general rule, I'm seeing more medical companies looking at how to align with either hospitality or with wellness. So this conference is intriguing because you never know who's going to attend.
Right.
And from a wellness perspective, we want to meet more medical people to understand where they're coming from, what they value, what they need. And with that in mind, I thought it would be a jolly good idea to put together some icons of the wellness industry from the hospitality sector with somebody who strongly represents medical.
Okay.
And that's the basis of our panel. So we have Anna Bjurström, who most people know as Six Senses, but those of us that have been in the industry long enough know that Anna is far more than Six Senses. She is probably one of the most underrated, iconic movements in the wellness industry worldwide.
Agreed.
And has led so many people and inspired so many people. So,
and may I say that Anna was a guest on my podcast about a month ago.
Oh, jolly. Okay. No, so we were aligned on that thought. Then Emlyn Brown. So Anna, for me, represents the absolute sort of outer fringes of holistic wellness. She's not afraid to try and experiment and explore and research everything that's the frontier of wellness.
Agreed. She's definitely the bleeding edge.
So that's her at that end of the scale. Emlyn represents to me with Accor the more mainstream approach of how a large hotel corporation tackles such a cumbersome aspect as wellness, and how on earth do you deploy all of these researches and findings in wellness in so many different brands and try and get consistency. And of course, it's a subject I know really well myself. So that's Emlyn, taking the mainstream approach for it. And if you look at what Emlyn is doing with Accor, he is not afraid to go out and find experts in particular fields and bring them into the umbrella and get them to engage with his hotel brands, which is very, very good and leading edge. Then I have Keith Pollard, which perhaps most of the people on your podcast won't have heard of. Keith is the editor and owner of the International Medical Travel Journal. So he represents the medical industry. And I heard Keith speak at a tourism conference that both of us were on different panels in Greece not so long ago. He really does understand everything about medical tourism, and he understands about what the medical tourist is seeking. And at that conference in Greece, he was critical of the wellness tourism, what that represented, and why he felt that it wasn't matching up to the same standards and ideals as the medical. So I thought, oh, this is going to be very good.
Exactly.
Let's bring him in because we are medical wellness. Keith has a genuine interest in the future of wellness tourism and medi-wellness. So he's not coming at it from an antagonistic point of view of saying, no, it's all rubbish. He's coming at it from a valued, critical observance of what needs to happen. So I thought this would be really good to put these different streams together. First of all, understand what medical wellness means to each of them, because everybody has a different interpretation of that. Whether we need to introduce standards, and if so, who's the person that's going to introduce those standards?
And who's going to place the standards?
Yes, exactly. So you're absolutely right. It's not, yes, we have standards, because most people will probably say, yeah, we need standards. Who does that? And how is it policed? Exactly. And where does it get credibility? So that's a topic that we're going to
That's
explore.
a great topic.
And of course, I think I'm going to finish off with fads versus facts. And I'm not going to comment on what we have seen at this conference because we've seen lots of technology. I am not in a position to know whether that's a fad or a fact. I can have my own opinion about certain things, but I would like these panelists to are dealing with this in their workplace all the time, where they see the future of technology coming into this medi-wellness and into wellness itself. So that, I think, will be a very interesting panel. We've only got 30 minutes or so to do it in, so I'm not going to spend too much time on introductions. I'm just going to get straight into the nitty-gritty, and I'll cut them off very quickly to keep it on track. I'll try and follow your program of hosting and comparing these. I'm not an expert like yourself, but I'll do my best.
I'm sure it's going to be fascinating. I can't wait to hear what they say.
I do think so. I think we've got an industry now that's emerging and is looking, by all accounts, as something that the public really is seeking. Everywhere you go, we have some trials going on. I mean, in the United States, of course, you've had integrative medicine with some of your leading edge hotel groups, not hotel groups, your leading edge hospital groups. So you've kind of had it. Where I think the tide will change in the US is when you get something like Kaiser Permanente, which are exploring it, coming online with hospitality and hospitals and putting the whole package together that gives a one-stop solution for your guests to be able to.
Well, we know it works.
We know it works.
What we don't know is, the monetization aspect, which is, of course, what insurance is driven by. I mean, can they monetize it? Can the results that we know we can provide, healthier people staying out of hospital, can that be worth it to them?
Exactly. Can it be worth it? And that actually touches on a very, very good subject that came up today in the panels that I thought, this is something that I'm observing, and I have a different take on what I was hearing. So what I was hearing was AI is coming. It's inevitable. Mm-hmm. It's coming. We can't avoid it. And it's so essential for us. Why is it essential? Well, a number of factors, but there's two particular factors I'm picking up on that actually are drivers of it that may not be the most obvious things that people think about. Those two factors for me are, does it make financial sense?
Mm-hmm.
One, does it make financial sense? So yeah, we can have all these lovely gimmicks, but do they make financial sense? And two, the labor shortage we've got and the inevitable consequences of that. So those two factors are driving that push towards AI. The younger generation have grown up with technology anyway and kind of expecting it. So we've got all kinds of different demands for it. The timing is right now. What we have to do is, again, sort out facts from fads, and there will be some that will fall by the wayside and some that will stick.
Mm-hmm.
And then the interesting point then is, okay, so if that is coming, and we've already seen something that perhaps 10 years ago, anybody in the wellness industry would have had a little shiver down their spine, and that was automated massages.
Mm-hmm.
We've had it first in chairs at the airports and so on, but now it is to the point where it's a robotics you lay on a table with the robotics, giving you that massage, claiming to be more efficient and better than an individual doing it. As I say, 10 years ago, we would have
laughed at that.
Which no way. But now we're saying, okay, that's interesting. There'll be people that will try that. So where does that place massage? Or where does it place the hands-on experience? And that is, to me, I don't have the answer. I'm inclined to hope that it will actually lead to massage being a premium aspirational desire.
You mean massage by hand?
By hand, yes. The power of touch. Mm-hmm. The power of touch will become a premium to have, a luxury to have. And a luxury that, again, in our societies around the world today, is something that is becoming less frequented, either because we live in social isolation and our communication is via technology, or because we are scared of disease or whatever else that we're going to have. COVID accelerated that. Or we get old and our partners are lost interest in us, and maybe a good night kiss and you're lucky. But either way, that power of touch, as we know more and more about the power of it, maybe it becomes a premium product. And maybe that becomes the aspirational part. So if you want the quick fix, you go in and you have your robotic massage. But if you really want a powerful, more than just the actual mechanics of the massage, you want the emotional engagement, the energy flow that transpires between two human individuals, then I think it'll become a premium. That's what I'm hoping.
I think you're right, Andrew. I think that we are not going to go back to the many, many massage therapists that were applying for jobs 10, 15 years ago. Now we're lucky if we have, 10 or 15% of that. But yet massage has never been more sought after by consumers.
Okay.
And so I think we're going to have two tiers, to your point. We'll have devices. Some of them are coming on market this year. I've tried one of them. It was quite promising. The chair that we have here, the relaunch chair, very interesting. So you'll have these devices that sort of help in the meantime, and then you'll have your hands-on massage in between, and it will cost more for sure. And we'll pay for that. But, who knows? We're not fortune tellers, but we're old enough to think we know something about the future.
I, at the risk of upsetting some of your viewers, I do not see many hotels building the classic spa model that we have seen for the last 15 years. I don't see that. I see them changing. I'm already an instigator of that change in many of the projects I'm working on. I'm trying to take the word spa out of the vocabulary of the hotel industry and put the word wellness in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to get my clients to understand that that is not a physical facility. It's a mindset.
Exactly.
It's a mindset that transpires into workplace wellness. It transpires into public spaces, guest rooms, and of course your physical facilities of spa or fitness pool or etc. And it's actually working. I'm getting that mindset across. My clients are more receptive to it. They kind of understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, and you probably know this very well, okay, what happens to the profit and loss? How do we quantify that? How do we quantify that? Because the uniform system of lodging and the council has got this specific type labour, which is actually a load of crap itself because it never really portrays the true value of the spa. But anyway, it's what it is. But and it served its purpose at the time it was created. But now, if you are saying, okay, what does wellness do? We haven't figured out how to value that, how to quantify that. But I am finding that my clients are saying, okay, we get it. We instinctively have got a gut feeling. We know that's the right thing to do. In the same way as I say to them, okay, how are you really quantifying sustainability? There are specifics of it. You can quantify, most definitely, you can put meters on machines and things like this, or quantify your reduction in plastics. But how do you quantify the emotional engagement of your guests? Or how do you quantify the choice of selection of your hotel because you have these values to it? And that's the difficult thing to do. But instinctively, people know that sustainability, everybody has to have some kind of position on sustainability.
Well, we know anecdotally that consumers want wellness and they're generally willing to pay. You were one of the first people when you were with Mandarin. It must have been 15 years ago. And I heard you stand up at a conference and say, our wellness guests stay longer, they spend more. We can definitely see the ROI. But of course, again, to your point, that was on a defined P&L line.
I remember that well. That was actually, if you remember that, as Anne McCall, who was at Fairmont at those days, and myself at Mandarin, that said we need to justify to our general managers the value of the spa and the wellness that we're doing. We need to find a way of measuring that. And of course, using the marketing data and looking at the guest spend patterns of guests that use and don't use, we were able to get that. And then with STR, we were able to get a couple of trial programs, first in the USA and then a little bit more in Europe. We got there. I think we served the purpose because, like yourself, everybody took note of it. So we got the message across. Unfortunately, it wasn't sustained. And I think that because I tried to do the same thing when I was in Hong Kong, I tried to do the same thing when I was in Dubai, and I didn't have very receptive partners from the other hotel groups that were interested in sharing data. It
requires detailed and excellent reporting, and no one wants to do that.
Well, not just detailed and excellent, but also unbiased and also a trustworthy person or group that's going to collect it, like Leading Quality Assurance do for the hotels. In terms of that, everybody trusts them, but they work with all of the major brands. It's a bit like GDPR right now.
Right. Well, to your point, we were able to get that message across, and now that the spa is becoming a concept and not a line item on the P&L, and it's not a particular room, it is going to be more difficult to measure it. One of the guys with one of the devices today asked me that question, how does it work? And I said, well, there isn't an answer, but we know that people want these wellness modalities and we need to have them on property. And we need to show we can attract people who then have F&B or spend the night or bring a partner or bring a friend or bring a hen party. So we'll see. I mean, but we know we need to go this way.
Oh, for sure. It's unquestionable. My daughter works for a high-end travel company. She works with ultra high net worth individuals, people that will spend £50,000 to £100,000 on a holiday, and nearly all of them want wellness included in that package. It may not be the primary reason they're going, but they want to have that element in there. It's absolutely critical. Interestingly enough, perhaps a little bit controversial for your listeners as well, but do you think, question to you now, do you think iSpa will become, I don't know what the acronym will be, but International Spa and Wellness.
It's funny you asked that. It's one of the last sort of things with spa in the name.
It is, because they've done a magnificent job in raising the profile of spas throughout the globe, not just in America, which is their primary location, but throughout the world. They've done a tremendous job in putting that out and getting people to take notice of us as a serious industry. They've done research. They've aligned themselves with the correct people to get credibility in the research they do. They've set standards. So they've done a great job. It would be natural for them to just say, okay, now's the time to embrace and bring in this new group of people that are already symbiotic with us anyway, and bring them in and expand our family.
Well, remember, it used to be the International Spa and Fitness Association.
Yes. Yeah.
And then fitness went away. I don't know. It's been 18 or 20 years.
Yeah.
And it became spa. And now will it become International Spa and Wellness? I don't know.
I don't know.
Good idea.
I would like them to do that because I think that for me, I've always looked at how do I create careers for my spa directors. And it's kind of a worry because they kind of get to the spa director role. The hotels have kind of shut the door. You're not hoteliers. You didn't go to hotel school, so you can't get up through the ranks with the rare exception. So where do they go? And I'm trying to say to them, reposition yourself, not as the spa director, reposition yourself as the wellness director for your hotel group. Volunteer to do work with your human resources for workplace wellness. Volunteer to do that. Volunteer to work on sustainability committees. Make yourself the wellness person for your hotel, the go-to wellness person, because one day there will be a C-suite position for a sustainability and wellness executive.
Let's hope it's in the next, let's say, 5 years.
Could be. Why not? It could easily be with the way we're going now and the progression we're seeing. Why not?
Well, these are great topics. I wish we had more time, but Andrew, thank you so much for sitting with us. And I can't wait to hear the panel tomorrow.
We shall see. Should be lively.
Hi there. So it's Lisa Starr again. I'm here at the Medical Wellness Congress in Frauenkirchen, Austria, near the Hungary border. And we're discussing how the lines between medicine and spa are continuing to blur. There are a lot of experts here in the medical field from spa and hospitality, and I'm lucky to be joined by Emlyn Brown, Senior VP of Wellness globally for Accor. I thought it would be very good to ask Emlyn his thoughts on how does this apply in a large global brand? Where spas, guests want more out of spa than they ever did. And how do you offer it and keep things relative to relaxation and yet using the medical and technology information that we have? What's the path forward for a large brand like yours?
Hi, Lisa. Good to see you again.
You too.
A lot of questions there to answer. Let's try and maybe break it down a little bit. I think firstly, we're seeing from a consumer perspective, a significant embracing of technology within the spa and wellbeing space. And an increased demand from that from, say, 10 years ago. Secondly, we're seeing significantly increased efficacy of the use of equipment, whether it's going to be for facial delivery or body treatments or getting into recovery and biohacking sort of spaces. It's actually becoming very efficacious in terms of its ability to deliver, right? And that is a really interesting place to be. And I think also the third point is that the blurring between medical spa and other spas, destination spas, blurring into urban is becoming quite normalized. And so within a larger organization, I think we need to probably embrace a couple of things. I think firstly, yes, we will be embracing, let's call it medi or semi-medical based treatment delivery. And that can go into two areas. One can be the sort of the classical treatment, facial equipment, which about hydrofacial today as a lower level example, going all the way up to things like soft wave, which is basically the 1 year facelift using other advanced technology. And that's interesting, right? Can be delivered safely, effectively with physician oversight. There's not to be present all the time. And so for us as a hotel business, I think that's the place you can play and work with it. And the second area would be what we're calling, and I think many people are calling recovery. based experiences, right? Or
what does that mean, though?
Well, I think for me, recovery is a combination of different treatment modalities based really around, I think, reducing inflammation, right? Just there's net,
the
right?
scourge of us.
Right. But also at the same time, helping to recover from athletic performance, right? So you look at a lot of the recovery elements that are being used now, hot and cold, contrabathing, ice bathing, cryotherapy, the use of compression therapy with Normatec and Hyperice, repetitive percussive massage and elements. These all come from the sports world, right? So this is not new for them. IV therapy was actually used in the NFL 20 years ago.
Cryotherapy, they've been sitting in cold tubs.
Correct. So if you're a baseball player pitching a 100-mile-an-hour baseball pitch, you're placing that arm in a cold bathing afterwards, doing hot and cold contrabathing. That's now seeped into sort of mainstream, combined with, chiropractor, osteopath elements that come into play. And I think that's a really great space to play within. It's got longevity. It's got significant appeal to consumers. You can seamlessly combine it with a number of different treatments. Therefore, a guest can experience 2 hours doing 4 or 5 different things. Good for the guest, great for the business, right, in terms of what your ability to yield. In many cases, things like hyperbaric oxygen therapy, again, a practice that's been used in sport for a long time, can be serviced. 4 or 5 HBOTs can be serviced by one person, right? So it's an interesting financial model and business model, and one that if you look at places like Remedy Social Wellness in New York is a great example, and then their second place in LA, it's being embraced within our operations globally in terms of our new developments. We're bringing in certainly elements of that to our new Old Office opening and Raffles. When you combine that with spa and club membership, you've got a very interesting business model. I think a really future-proof business model.
Well, I think that's a really great point you make. I was fortunate enough to write one of the Global Wellness Summit trends this year, and it was on the convergence of sports and hospitality. To your point, we all are working out all the time, and we all imagine ourselves that we're a better athlete than we probably are. And so consumers are looking for recovery in the same way that their sports icons are. And they want access to those things that, as you say, seeped over from the sports world, like the cryo and the HVAC, and now they want to have that. Now, do you see it? Do you have any indications yet of the draw of that in a hospitality environment to bring guests?
I wouldn't say just yet. I think it's still relatively early. But if you look at the Aman in New York, also in the UK, there, it's been incorporated a number of elements back into their new openings. We're doing the same. It's slightly early for us to really fully understand that and embrace that. But if you're seeing good standalone businesses doing it, then I think that there is, I should say, consumer sentiment and desire and profit there. But just to go back to your point about the everyday athlete, right, which certainly all of us are. I mean, I certainly think I'm an athlete now, even though I'm 51, I'm nowhere near being athletic. But what's happened is, firstly, significant increase in penetration of fitness and exercise and movement into a younger generation who's now coming through to becoming a luxury consumer. All right. So when I started off back in the mid-90s in the health industry, 8% of the population of the UK were members of clubs, health clubs. Now it's more along the lines of 35%. Now it's increasing all the time. The USA is even higher percentage of occupancy of health clubs globally. So you're training, you're exercising, and then all of a sudden the fashion caught up with it. So your Nikes, your Adidases, your Reeboks, your different elements. The idea of looking like an athlete was possible. So you could dress like your favorite athlete. And then athleisure wear came out. People were wearing Lululemon, walking around. And that influences how people think and how they want to move and what they want to be. And then all of a sudden you want to eat like an athlete. It's the ability to talk about nutrition, about protein, readily available information on the web and the internet via apps or via blogs. They're there. The last piece of that jigsaw is the recovery piece, right? So understanding how important sleep is, and we need to absolutely talk about sleep within that, right? But also the elements you can use. We talked about cryotherapy, IV therapy, infrared, and so on, being brought into your daily life. And you've got the trifecta. And that last piece you've got, there is the Strava warriors and the people tracking their performance with Apple Watches. So every day you're being reminded to be better, to improve, to recover to a certain degree. Recovery is not just about athletes, though. It's also about the everyday stresses and drains we have in our life. And I think that's why I think this is a really interesting piece for us within hospitality to be embracing.
Well, we all need recovery, right? I mean, we all think we do on a daily basis, I think. Last question, Emlyn. Does this play at all into the fact that we have labor challenges now, that our traditional massages and facials are difficult to staff appropriately?
I think it does. Certainly does. With my own personal thought process and ideas about the future, I think there's absolutely a place for high qualified spa and wellness treatment delivery done to a high level. There is a labour shortage. I think that labour shortage will only continue to increase, both because of the growth of our business and also because of maybe a lack of people coming into that business. All right. So we need to tackle that in many different ways. But for us as a business, I give you an example. I went to New York to a location called the fuel pump in New York, and it was delivered 5 to 6 modalities of treatment within a 90-minute period, including a push IV, and push IV took 10 minutes, right? And that was charged at between $400 to $600 per treatment, right?
For just the IV or the whole 90 minutes?
No, for each treatment over the 5, right? Which included a number of modalities from compression therapy to HBOT to IV push to second IV push, all delivered within a 90-minute period. That's interesting, right? It's not for everybody, but it's certainly an area for us to explore. I think spas can learn a lot from that.
Well, thank you for sharing your thoughts here at the Medical Wellness Congress in Austria. Always great to see you, Emlyn Brown, new Senior VP globally.
Thank you.
Wellness for Accor.